Good evening. I'm going to call to order this December 1st meeting of the City Council. Roll call, please.
Bongard?
Here.
Munn? Here. Denham?
Here.
Spellman? Petrilla? Werfel?
Here.
Besner?
Here.
Weber?
Here.
Sulkitis?
Here.
Pope?
Here.
And I thought, was Councilmember Petrilla, is he on Zoom? Or no? Not on Zoom? Okay.
Jim, I think, is checking.
We just have one council member who is out of town and for work and trying to appear via Zoom, so I want to give him an opportunity to try to sign in. Jim, any...
Our meetings with respectful discussions, thoughtful decisions that are made in the best interest of the city of St. Charles now and in the future. Watch over and protect our police, fire, EMT, public works, and all first responders as they respond to incidents during the holiday season while keeping all residents and visitors safe. Bless and keep our mayor, elected and appointed officials, city staff, and all city employees as they do the work of making St. Charles a welcoming, vibrant, compassionate, and safe community for all. Amen.
Normal, if you could lead us in the pledge, please.
I'd be happy to. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to welcome everybody here tonight. Thanks for making it through all the snow. And we have a full agenda tonight, so we're going to go ahead and start by asking our police chief, Dan Likens, to present some awards. So he will be stepping up.
I have Officer Jackson come up first. Good evening, Council, Mr. Mayor. The first award I wanted to present tonight, let me tell you, this is the best part about my job, is to actually recognize people for the amazing work that they do.
Are we there now? Better? So now Sergeant Jackson, was Officer Jackson at the time, was recognized recently last month at the Illinois Megan Task Force Commanders Association. It's a statewide committee comprised of leadership from 22 units from around the state of Illinois. Sergeant Jackson was presented and recognized with 2 awards during their annual banquet in East Peoria, Illinois, on November 7th for his dedication to narcotics enforcement while assigned to the North Central Narcotics Task Force. Commendable and no doubt made a safer St. Charles. And I specifically just want to read just real brief award language that he received. In recognition of exceptional investigative work, I'm going to delete the case name here, navigating a sensitive situation and numerous hurdles to gain a residential search warrant seizing 3,561 grams of cannabis, 4,500 grams of psilocybin mushrooms, and most importantly, 24 firearms. In addition to thousands of rounds of ammunition, $14,000 United States currency, silver bars, which resulted in a felony conviction here in Kane County and an 8-year prison sentence for a member of the community, unfortunately. The second award he received was part of a joint investigation with another task force that took off a transnational drug trafficking operation, resulting in the seizure of over 800 pounds of illicit cannabis and $750,000 in United States currency, and the arrest of multiple drug traffickers, and again, a transnational organization. So it's a shame we have to face crime like that here in St. Charles, but I wanted everybody from the council, the mayor, and really everybody sitting in this room to know that unfortunately it exists, and we have great dedicated professionals that are combating those problems. So I just wanted him to stand up in front of you and you, the audience, really know doing to combat some of these issues. So thank you very much. And his dedication, I'll just say he's off tonight, and here he is on a Monday night in a snowstorm to come be with us. So I point that out because the dedication doesn't stop. The next award, or I guess recognition really, I want to call some people up as I read this. Officer Megan Kramer, who a lot of you probably know, she handles our comfort dog. And then two organizations, one of them, which I just in talking tonight found out was actually here in St. Charles, based, started, and I didn't even know that as I read up on the company. So if I could welcome Carmen Santiago and Melanie, if I say this right, Gayton? Where are they at? There they are. They are with the Autism Hero Project, and I'll get into that a little bit more here in just a second. And next I wanted to ask Mr. Chris McClurg in the back from West Valley Graphics to come up and join us too. Probably about a month ago or so, I think I had a conversation with maybe Ms. McGuire, and I went to Officer Kramer, and we talked about the Blue Envelope Project. Does anybody know what the Blue Envelope Project is in the community? Nobody. That's surprising and somewhat shameful, I guess, that we haven't pushed it out. But we're gonna, and thanks to these people behind me. So I went to Officer Kramer and I said, listen, this is a project, we're gonna get rolling. She took it upon herself within a couple of weeks. She made some great connections with folks here from the Autism Hero Project, so I wanted them to be here to recognize it. And then from West Valley Graphics, Mr. Chris McClurg, who actually donated all the printing costs for this project. So the Blue Envelope Project, Naperville, Elgin, Downers Grove, Park Ridge, Bloomingdale, and I found out tonight Peoria are the other agencies across Illinois that are doing this. The core idea of the Blue Envelope is a specially designed envelope that holds a driver's essential documents, license, registration, contact card, peer support contact, and the envelope features critical communication guidelines on its exterior, specifically tailored to assist law enforcement officers in recognizing and adapting their approach when interacting with a driver who has autism. So what does it do? It calms the mood. That's the best way I can explain it. Our police, they work very hard, and they come into situations that are stressful, and we deal with people of all backgrounds, all abilities, all communication tactics. And this little blue envelope is just a way that our officers can be handed information to, I'll say, calm the mood. It gives them a heads up to say, listen, maybe I'm dealing with something here that I need to take a few breaths. I need to step back. I need to, maybe take a different approach to that. It gives communication for both the driver and the officer. So again, a central location. We're going to distribute these out of the police department. If anybody needs one or has a need, we just found out tonight that tomorrow Urban Air is actually having an event for an autistic crowd. So they've asked us to actually have them kind of be a hub because they have a lot of dealings with autistic subjects. So I really just thought it was important to brag on Officer Kramer and the partnership that was formed just within a matter of weeks to make this live. And I want to actually give the mic. You guys want to say a few words?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I'm a proud resident of St. Charles. My last name is actually Santiago Keenan. My brother is one of your pastors at Christ Community Church. So we love our community and our town. And Melanie as well, she's in Geneva. So we really, really love our Fox Valley neighbors and community. With that, thank you for having us. Thank you for doing this. The Autism Hero Project, how we started and what we're actually in the middle of doing right now is going through insurance policies and scholarships so that we can grant insurance policies for families. That's how we started. So at the heart and core of what we do is provide families that are uninsured or underinsured with insurance policies that helps to cover the very, very expensive autism treatments that their children need, anywhere from $80,000 to $100,000 per child. Usually we find that if they have more than one child, siblings are also affected. Through that, we have started our partnership. It started with the Elgin Police, and it is now translated to so many more, including our beloved St. Charles Police Station and police officers here with not only the Blue Envelope Initiative, but we also do extensive training nationally. We're the only nonprofit in this space that writes policy at a policy level with our Congress folk here that work with us as well to regulate policy around how to help autistics. And we also work with our police very, very closely to help train them on how to handle different situations. And we also work with Judson and some other colleges to help with college opportunities for our adult autistics as well. And we do inclusive community work, so if you haven't been a part of, please be on the lookout for all of the inclusive events that we have here in the Fox Valley area and in Illinois and now in Florida as well. And if you ever need anything, please feel free to reach out. It's a lot to navigate when you're working through these systems, and we're here to help support. So thank you so much. This is such an honor, and we just love our community, so thank you for loving us.
Well, on behalf of my entire team at West Valley Graphics, I think it's just an honor to be able to give back in the smallest of ways here. It is, Mayor Hall, a testament that something good does come out of Haynes Junior High. He has told me otherwise a few times. I am a graduate of Haynes Junior High School, as well as went to the St. Charles High School. Family grew up here. But our hope is that you never have to purchase another envelope ever again, whether that be through St. Charles or any of the other communities. We'd like to partner with you to make sure that as many of these get out to the people that need those as we can. So on behalf of our team, I would thank you again for allowing us to be a part of it. So, thank you.
Well, Chris, as you're sitting down, I just want to let you know, as a Thompson graduate, we were often taunted by the Haynes kids with, Haynes has the brains and Thompson wants them. So, for those Haynes kids, tough crowd, but thanks so much. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Just real quick, when we're talking about Sergeant Jackson and his award, I was a drug prosecutor at the Kane County State's Attorney's Office, and when you talk about the type of investigatory work that has to go in on a drug case, not a couple hours, not tens of hours, hundreds of hours of doing intelligence, of trying to develop sources, of trying to do the things and do the background work to get you in front of a judge, to get a search warrant, to then lead to the next step. And so, Sergeant Jackson, that there's a lot of work. I know that you're part of a team, but thank you so much for your investment in that. I know that those cases are hard to put together, and Officer Kramer, you are a beloved figure in our community. All the kids know you and the service dog, and so thank you again for being here. Appreciate it. And I absolutely love the Blue Envelope Project. So excited about that, and congratulations. So, all right, I'm going to look for an omnibus motion by Alderman Sulkaitis.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to approve the omnibus vote as presented tonight.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Bongard?
Yes.
Munn?
Yes.
Gem?
Yes.
Petrulla?
Yes.
Wirball?
Yes.
Besner?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Sulkaitis?
Yes.
Vogt?
Yes.
Okay, the motion carries. The record should reflect at this point in time that Alderman Petrulla is now present with us via Zoom. Okay, there is no old business, so I'm now going to go to new business, which is a public hearing for the 2025 proposed tax levy. We do have Bill Hanna here in case there are any questions by the City Council. This public hearing concerns the city's proposed 2025 property tax levy. A notice of this hearing was published in the Daily Herald on November 22nd of 2025. At this time, I would ask for a motion and a second to open the public hearing.
So move.
Second.
Okay, motion by Warble, second by Munns. Roll call, please.
Bongard?
Here.
Munn?
Here.
Gem?
Yes.
Petrulla?
Yes.
Wirball?
Yes.
Besner?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Sulkaitis?
Yes.
Vogt?
Here.
Okay, there is a quorum. I therefore hereby convene the public hearing to consider the proposed 2025 property tax levy. Tonight, we will take public comment from all interested persons concerning the approval of the proposed tax levy for the city of St. Charles. The 2025 tax levy preliminary estimate was approved by the council on November 17th of 2025, and as such, there have been no changes in the estimate since that time. Is there anybody on council that would like to make a comment on the record? Okay, the record should reflect that there are no council members that wish to to make a comment. Have there been any written communications that have been filed with the clerk's office?
None, Your Honor.
Okay, there have been no written communications. At this time, anyone wishing to step forward to comment and please state your name, address, and the party that they are representing for the record on the 2025 property tax levy.
My name is Steve Leffler. I live at 450 South First Street in St. Charles, Unit 305. I rise today to speak about SSA 1B. I'm one of 38 residents who own non-commercial property in that area, in that designated area, that pay tax on that item. And that item is supposed to be for commercial use. And I would like to begin a process of getting disconnected from that and get the rest of the residential properties removed from that. The initial intent of the property of the SSA 1B was for commercial use to pull, to gather funds for the businesses in the area to support things like the First Street development. I benefit from that because I can walk down there and have a nice meal, but so do all the rest of the residents in the city of St. Charles, and I'm one of 38 people who have to pay for that, so, or who are non-commercial organizations and people that pay for that. So, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Loeffler.
Thank you.
Okay, any other public comments? Okay, I'd like to have a motion and a second to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion by Munn, second by Warble. Roll call, please.
Bongard?
Yes.
Munn?
Yes.
Gem?
Yes.
Petrilla?
Yes.
Wirball?
Yes.
Besner?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Kulturitis?
Yes.
Folk?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. It is now closed. Now, the levies and the SSAs have to be voted on separately, so we are now on to item number B. I am looking for a motion to approve an ordinance levying taxes for the 2025 tax levy year for the city of St. Charles. Is there a
So
mo-
moved.
I'm sorry?
So moved.
Besner on the motion, second by Gem. Any comments? Roll call, please.
Bongard?
Yes.
Munn?
Yes.
Gem?
Yes.
Petrilla?
Yes.
Wirball?
Yes.
Besner?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Kulturitis?
Yes.
Folk?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Item number C, I am looking for a motion to approve the special service area ordinance levying taxes for SSA 1A for the 2025 levy year for the city of St. Charles.
So moved. Second.
All right, motion by Warble, second by Bongard. Any comments? Roll call, please.
Bongard?
Yes.
Munn?
Yes.
Gem?
Yes.
Petrilla?
Yes.
Wirball?
Yes.
Besner?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Kulturitis?
Yes.
Folk?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Next up, item number D, I am looking for a motion to approve the special service area ordinance levying taxes for SSA 1B for the 2025 levy year for the city of St. Charles.
Weber will move. Second.
Weber motion, Warble second. Any comments? Roll call.
Bongard?
Yes.
Munn?
Yes.
Gem?
Yes.
Petrilla?
Yes.
Wirball?
Yes.
Besner?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Kulturitis?
Yes.
Folk?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Now on to item E. I am looking for a motion to approve the special service area ordinance levying taxes for SSA 5 for the 2025 levy year for the city of St. Charles.
So move.
Okay, there's a motion.
Second.
Motion Gem, second Munns. Any comment? Roll call, please.
Bongard?
Yes.
Munn?
Yes.
Gem?
Yes.
Petrilla?
Yes.
Wirball?
Yes.
Besner?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Kulturitis?
Yes.
Folk?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Item F. I am looking for a motion to approve the special service area ordinance levying taxes for SSA 6 for the 2025 levy year for the city of St. Charles.
Munn moves.
Second.
Munns motion, second Besner. Any comments? Roll call, please.
Bongard?
Yes.
Munn?
Yes.
Gem?
Yes.
Petrilla?
Yes.
Wirball?
Yes.
Besner?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Kulturitis,
Yes.
Folks,
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. On to item G. I'm looking for a motion to approve the special service area ordinance levying taxes for SSA 7 for the 2025 levy year for the city of St. Charles.
Munns moves.
Weber will second.
Okay, motion, Munn, second by Weber. Any comments? Roll call, please.
Bongard,
Yes.
Munns,
Yes.
Gem,
Yes.
Petrilla,
Yes.
Wirball,
Yes.
Besner,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Kulturitis,
Yes.
Folks,
Yes.
Okay, now item H, I am looking for a motion to approve the special service area ordinance levying taxes for SSA 10 for the 2025 levy year for the city of St. Charles.
So moved. Second.
Motion Besner, second Gem. Any comments? Roll call, please.
Bongard,
Yes.
Munns,
Yes.
Gem,
Yes.
Petrilla,
Yes.
Wirball,
Yes.
Besner,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Kulturitis,
Yes.
Folks,
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Now on to item I. I am looking for a motion to approve the special service area ordinance levying taxes for SSA 13 for the 2025 levy year for the city of St. Charles.
So move.
Second.
All right, motion Warble, second Bongard. Any comments? Roll call, please.
Bongard,
Weber? She said Bongard.
Bongard.
Yes. Weber. I was like,
Munns,
Yes.
Gem,
yes.
Petrilla,
Yes.
Wirball,
Yes.
Besner,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Kulturitis,
Yes.
Folks,
Yes.
All right, motion carries. On to item J. I am looking for a motion to approve the special service area ordinance levying taxes for SSA 57 for the 2025 levy year for the city of St. Charles.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have the motion in a second. Any comments? Roll call?
Bongard,
Yes.
Munns,
Yes.
Gem,
Yes.
Petrilla,
Yes.
Wirball,
Yes.
Besner,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Kulturitis,
Yes.
Folks,
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. We are now moving on to agenda item 3, committee reports. Chairman Weber, any reports from government operations?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay, moving on to government services. Councilmember Bongard.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Turning it over to planning and development. Councilmember Warble.
I have two items. Item C1, I'd like to make a motion to approve a resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk of the city of St. Charles to execute a service agreement between the city of St. Charles and Habitat for Humanity of Northern Fox Valley regarding the city of St. Charles Urgent Need Home Rehabilitation Grant Program.
Second.
Second.
Okay, so motion, Silkaitis?
The motion, oh, yeah.
Motion was by
Motion was made, who's the
Warble.
second?
I'll second.
Silkaitis, second Silkaitis. Any comment? Roll call, please.
Bongard,
Yes.
Munns,
Yes.
Gem,
Yes.
Petrilla,
Abstain.
Wirball,
Yes.
Besner,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Kulturitis,
Yes.
Folks,
Yes.
Okay, so item C2, I'd like to make a motion to approve a resolution approving allocation of funds from the St. Charles Housing Trust Fund to the Urgent Need Home Rehabilitation Grant Program.
Okay, there's been a motion by Warble, second.
Munn, second.
Munn seconds. Any comments? Roll call, please.
Bongard,
Yes.
Munns,
Yes.
Gem,
Yes.
Petrilla,
Abstain.
Wirball,
Yes.
Besner,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Kulturitis,
Yes.
Folks,
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, we're now going to move on to the public comment portion. Before we begin public comment, I just want to take an opportunity to explain to everybody here the purpose of public comment. First, the public comment portion of the agenda is for our residents to address the city council about any topic that's on your mind. Please remember when you approach to please state your name and the city that you live in. Next, I'd like to remind everybody about the importance of showing respect for all of our speakers. More than ever, treating every speaker with respect and civility is important to the way that we run the operations in the city of St. Charles. Always very proud of that, so please remember that. And finally, there is no time limit, but I would ask that you consider that we have 2 more other agenda meetings to attend to after the public comment. So please feel free to say what you want to say. But if you can try to avoid repetition about if something's already been said, that would be great. With that being said, you have the mic, and so please feel free to do that. So with that, is there anybody that would wish to make a public comment? Okay, just step on up, and if there are more than one, if you want to just form a line behind.
My name is Lauren Nagy. I live in St. Charles. I've been a resident of St. Charles for over 50 years, of the Fox Valley for nearly 55 years. I've worked in the green industry for more than 5 decades. And throughout most of that time, many of my coworkers have been Hispanic. So what I want to talk a little bit about was ICE and whether or not to allow them to use our public property. Out of respect for your time and everybody else, I'm not going to revisit comments made at the last City Council meeting, nor will I debate whether adults who enter this country illegally should or should not be deported. I do want to address its fairness, consistency, and the rule of law. When I was trained to interview potential employees, I was taught very clearly which questions I could and could not be asked. I was told I could not ask any question or request any document from any one ethnicity that I didn't ask from any other. Doing otherwise would violate the law. Our police officers are similarly expected to avoid racial profiling during traffic stops. We all know about cities across the United States that have faced consequences for racially motivated practices. Yet today, many of our brown-skinned people feel compelled to carry documents at all times to prove their legal status because they are being profiled by the same federal government that once declared such profiling as being unacceptable. ICE operates under a different standard than the one imposed on the rest of us. Consider how ICE conducts its operations. Unmarked vehicles, no badges, no body cameras, no names on uniforms, masked officers whose identities are concealed. This isn't something we would accept from our own police department. I think the answer is no, that we wouldn't. You know, oh boy, I can't say that word tonight, creates misconduct. When my own son worked at a haunted house, he joked that he felt free to act as he pleased because no one knew who he was. That same lack of accountability exists with ICE operations. We all understand that in any profession, not everyone performs their duties properly. Even in St. Charles, we have roughly 60 police officers, and even among them, we acknowledge sometimes mistakes happen. We know that not everyone performs the way they would like. At times, we may even reevaluate the way we've conducted ourselves and said, I could have handled that better. And I know that from a personal experience of my own actions at times. And a friend of mine, a retired police sergeant, once told me that, with about 40 officers at that time in the field, it's unrealistic to expect flawless behavior amongst all of them. To assume that every ICE officer acts appropriately is equally unrealistic. Yet ICE officers are effectively unidentifiable. Therefore, they don't face any consequences when they don't follow the procedures. I think it's fundamentally unethical to deport individuals who were brought to this country as children and have lived their entire lives here. They have no connection to the country of their birth, no path to citizenship, because they are undocumented. They are banned from pursuing citizenship. At one time, they could hire attorneys to plead their case, but doing so exposed them to new risks. Many of them ultimately decided it's not worth the danger. And many times people say, well, why don't they follow, and why don't they work toward becoming citizens? I looked up to see how long does it take to become a citizen. And if you are not married to a citizen and a direct descendant of a citizen, but a family member, if you want to bring your father here, 25 years. That's how long it takes currently under our current system. To me, that's not acceptable. It needs to be fixed. But that's not something that we can fix here directly. On a side note, one person I talked to said that our government doesn't want to fix it because they don't have anything to point the other party about. It creates something that they can argue about.
But at any rate, although I'm not retired, or I am retired, I still maintain close contact with those business owners and statewide associations in the green industry. What's happening today is having a real economic impact. Some employers have bought folders for workers to carry their documents with them at all times. Some have had entire crews detained and then later released. But while they were detained, their trucks, trailers, mowers, tools, and everything else was left unattended. One company only learned of an incident where their crew was detained when a client called and asked why no crew had arrived, or called to say they witnessed that they had been picked up by ICE, but yet they were still legally here, only to be released later. But that still didn't stop leaving things unattended. Some legal citizens have stayed home because they were afraid. They were born here, raised here, in some cases second generation, but yet they're afraid to go to work because they've seen how those of their same skin color were treated. My wife and I have even gone grocery shopping on behalf of someone who's here legally, but was afraid to go out. Native Americans now, and I checked on this. I thought this can't be, but I looked it up and found out that they're being advised by their tribal elders to carry documents that, tribal documents and identification. ICE has attempted at least one documented individual and several undocumented occasions to detain or deport Native Americans. This is just unthinkable. What happened to due process? What happened to innocent until proven guilty? How are we allowing these people to be deported without anything being checked and rechecked? This is not the America I grew up with. It's nor the America that I can be proud of today. It echoes the period in our history when Japanese Americans were forced into detention camps, a policy once justified as a small price to pay. The same thing I've heard about this, a small price to pay. Decades later, our government acknowledged that this chapter in our history is a grave injustice and a national embarrassment, something we vowed never to repeat, and yet here we are. We may not be placing brown-skinned people in detention camps, but we are doing something worse. We're removing them from their country based on race. Japanese Americans were targeted because of race. So are many of the people targeted by ICE today. Some may say this is solely a federal issue, that we cannot do anything locally. I respectfully disagree. My high school teacher, Mr. Ray Rogina, once taught me that local government has the greatest impact on our daily lives, and that local leadership is where change begins. The civil rights movement itself was sparked by one woman who refused to give up her seat in a bus in Mobile, Alabama. I'm a member of the St.Charles Congregational United Church of Christ, founded in 1837. Our original church building was at 3rd and Walnut, which now houses the Lazarus House, a program which our congregation began. Our denomination has its roots that trace back to the Pilgrims. And the United Church of Christ has a long history of moral leadership, the first mainstream denomination to ordain a female minister, the first to publicly oppose slavery, the party responsible for a court decision affirming that broadcast airwaves are public property and opening the door for people of color to enter television studios, newsrooms, and a denomination that in 1969 formally supported civil rights for the LGBTQ people. And in 2005, the UCC became the first mainstream denomination to affirm equal marriage rights for all. I'm proud of that history. I'm proud to be part of that history. The courage of our predecessors showed and the values that remain alive today. I ask you not to kick the can down the road. I ask you to review and pass an ordinance that prohibits ICE to use our property, public property. Their activities may have waned, but I have heard from those that are in the know that this is only temporary.
So let's be proactive. Let's not wait for it to start again. You now have the opportunity to stand up for what's right, for the humane treatment of people. I want to be proud of St. Charles. I want to be proud that we took a stand. You should want your children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren to be able to look back and know that you stood for the right side of dignity, respect, and humanity for all. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you for your comments, Mr. Nagy.
Hi, my name is Lisa McGowan. I'm from St. Charles. I also serve on the St. Charles Equity and Inclusion Commission, and I figured I'd add that I'm also the child of an immigrant who came to this country legally but became a citizen through marriage. His brother came at the same time as him. They both came in their 20s. He did not get married, and he became a citizen in his 50s. So I wanted to say that, just to go off of that. I won't tell you what junior high I went to. I'm here today to read a statement by a longtime St. Charles resident, a nurse who is a legal citizen, who is scared to come forward to her own city government's meeting. Her kids are citizens as well. Here are her words. As you sit there, I ask of you to reflect with me if at any point in your existence have you ever been afraid for your life? If so, do you remember how that made you feel? Did the experience strip you of your sense of self, your self-worth, your self-determination? Did it scare you so deeply that you have written things like, if the pain of my experiences changes the fibers of my being, would you still know me? If the answer to all of this is no, then you are lucky. You see, many of us immigrants know violence, the type of violence that rewrites the way you see the world and how you interact with it. To explain this point of view, I'm going to tell you a story I vividly remember growing up. I was around 7 years old, and it was normal to have military checkpoints that would stop the flow of traffic and demand the identification of all the travelers. It was always a horrifying experience because you did not know if, during these checkpoints, you would be taken by the government and never seen again. You may think that there's nothing wrong with such an environment, but to a child to see armed men who are violent and can harm you at any point creates traumas that are hard to overcome. For children who grow up in the midst of violence a civil war causes, it teaches them from an early age to always be alert, to never let their guard down, that at any moment violence can reach them anywhere because there is no place that's off limits, not even their home. For me, when I moved to America, I thought that I finally had left extreme violence behind, that my children would never know the fear extreme violence brings to a society, that they would never be targeted for just existing. ICE has shattered those convictions, and now I ask myself if we are going to be stopped because of the way we look. Are my children going to be safe coming home from school? Are we going to disappear one day? You may be tempted to dismiss my words and concern, but when being profiled due to the way you look and knowing that your life could be part of a daily quota or a monetary reimbursement to someone else, you can't help but be concerned. St. Charles prides itself on being a welcoming community with a vision statement that reads, an engaged community with a sense of place and belonging where everyone is welcome. But when a section of your community is being targeted and made to be the other, are you really abiding by your vision statement? I say this so that you may reflect as to who your community is and that it's important to include every section of it. I hope that my letter encourages you to make the city safe for all your residents and that you consider those who are actively being persecuted. I want to close this letter with the words of Elie Wiesel, a Holocaust survivor, who wrote, "The opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference." Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, council members and Mayor Hall. My name is Jill Aducci. I have been community member and citizen here in St. Charles for over 20 years. I've raised 3 children in this community and who've gone on to move to other places, and hopefully they'll come back. I wanted to thank you for the opportunity to speak. I come before you today different than the ones who came in front of me. I am in opposition to the proposed ordinance by the people last week and today, restricting ICE agents from conducting their duties on city property. I believe strongly in the rule of law and in cooperation between local and federal authorities. ICE agents are federal law enforcement officers acting under federal mandate. They are not operating outside the law or without oversight. By preventing these agents from carrying out their lawful responsibilities, our city would be actively hindering federal enforcement efforts. My greatest concern is the safety and security of our legal residents and families in our communities. Restricting ICE's ability to operate could inadvertently create an environment where individuals who pose genuine public safety risks are harder to locate, monitor, or detain. We must prioritize the protection of law-abiding citizens and legal residents who depend on their government to uphold public safety. We also need to consider public trust. Residents expect their local leaders to protect them, uphold existing laws, and maintain cooperation with federal enforcement, not to create policies that introduce confusion, risk, and unpredictability. Undermining collaboration with federal agencies sends the wrong message about our city's commitment to lawful order. Additionally, policymaking should not become a vehicle for political grandstanding or symbolic gestures. Our city government should not involve itself in partisan signaling which weakens coordination between the agencies. Finally, creating local policy that conflicts with federal law invites legal challenges and may expose our city and its taxpayers to lawsuits and financial loss. This is not a prudent or responsible direction for our community. We gain nothing by creating friction between local government and federal law enforcement. Cooperation, not obstruction, is the foundation of an orderly society. I respectfully ask the Council to reject this ordinance and ensure that our city remains a cooperative partner with all federal agencies, not a barrier to them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ducci.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Edward Manning, and I'm the co-chair of the Racial Justice Committee at St. Charles Episcopal Church. Our church is located at 994 North 5th Avenue, Route 25. Our congregation at St. Charles has a long history of advocacy and activism for the marginalized in our area. Whether it be our monthly contribution of nearly 1,000 meals to our neighbors in Aurora and St. Charles, efforts to provide adequate, affordable housing in our community, or our now growing concern for the safety of people of color in St. Charles and beyond, our church takes seriously the responsibility we have as Christians and citizens to those at or beyond the edges of our society. Everyone, and we believe everyone, has the right to a meal, a warm place to lay their head, and a safe day-to-day existence. At the dictates of both our national presiding bishop and the bishop of the Episcopal Diocese of Chicago, to which we belong, we have been and will continue to be strongly supportive of the rights of those immigrants in our midst who have been targeted by ICE and Customs and Border Patrol in our city and the surrounding area. In August of this year, we helped organize 7 churches and 5 pastors to send to the officials of the collective communities in the Fox Valley a letter urging them not to cooperate with ICE as it randomly and repeatedly targeted, very often illegally, our immigrant neighbors in this area. If you've not seen this letter, and I doubt you have, I put copies in front of all of you tonight. Our letter then and our request tonight urges action to be taken to stop this random and arbitrary detentions in our area. Too often we've heard the leaders in our community respond to our questions and pleas by saying, excuse me, we are following the Trust Act. There's nothing more to be done. Here is more that can be done. We urge you to pass legislation or ordinance that prohibits ICE from operating on City of St. Charles property. We strongly hope you will issue a statement of support for those who increasingly find themselves the target of these detentions. St. Charles is an island in a sea of greater community that contains large numbers of Latinos and people of color, neighbors both in proximity and in manners of shared belonging and fellowship. They live here. They work here. They worship here. They spend their money here. They appreciate it when their neighbors say, "We see you and we stand with you." We will help you to feel safe here. If your neighbor in St. Charles was harassed or threatened, would you go inside your home, lock the door, and draw the shades? Or would you stand in support, offering understanding and compassion? We realize our elected officials have tough decisions to make, but we fully expect them to be made with that same compassion and understanding that we as citizens make in our dealings with one another every single day. We realize that there are things that can and cannot be done. We feel that those we have elected have a responsibility not to just say no, but rather to work cooperatively with the advocates in our community and say, let's figure out together how we can move forward to a better, safer St. Charles, today and for the future. So we ask you tonight and always to be on the moral, just side of history. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to bring our concerns to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Joy Dorr. My late husband was John Dorr, whom many of you know. Next year will be my 60th year living in St. Charles. I want to share what it's like to be a person of color in this community. I am telling you this because these experiences likely do not happen to you and probably never will. But for people of color in St. Charles, they happen perhaps not frequently, but often enough. When I moved here in 1966, our landlady believed my husband had misrepresented himself when renting. She had expected a white woman as his new bride, and she reluctantly agreed to keep renting to us, only after deciding I cleaned the apartment much better than her previous renters. When I moved to my current home 45 years ago, I used to jog along Oak Street to 3rd Street, then up to Prairie all the way to Randall, and then back home on Oak Street. At the corner of Randall and Oak is a bank with drive-up windows. When I jogged past it, some drivers would roll up their windows and lock their doors. I noticed the drivers did not lock their doors when white joggers passed by. When my husband and I meet people on the street or in the bike path, and he begins talking to them, some would turn to me and ask, "And who are you?" I doubt most couples walking together are asked that. More recently, I opened the garage door and started backing out just as a temporary mail carrier who happened to be acquainted with my husband was walking by. She turned back to my car window and asked, "Are you taking care of the house?" Confused, I replied, "I live here." She quickly apologized, explaining that the neighbor had said we were away and our mail should be held. But still, why ask if I was taking care of the house when I was clearly leaving from the inside? It would not have happened to a white person. I want you to understand the minorities in this city experience moments like these often. People may mean well, but their vision of St. Charles frequently does not include non-white residents or non-white spouses. The current hostility directed toward many Hispanic residents is an extension of this xenophobia. And I fear the City Council will not recognize the seriousness of the situation simply because these experiences are not happening to you. That doesn't make them any less real or any less harmful. Please act proactively to reassure all St. Charles residents that the city stands with them. Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Debbie Motter, and I'm here tonight to ask you to take a public stand on the recent immigration activities in our city. On November 17th, we heard from many residents, and then more tonight, businesses and others who are knowledgeable on the consequences of recent activities in our community. So after the meeting, I went home and I did some research on what other communities around us are doing and why. I found that several cities, including Aurora, Batavia, Evanston, Riverside, have passed an ordinance in the past 2 months. Most of them are in November. And Carpentersville is currently under review for an ordinance. Similarly, both Elgin and Wheeling passed resolutions on immigration enforcement just last month. I found out that cities that have a welcoming city ordinance already in place, including Berwyn and Oak Park and Evanston, made updates or highlighted their policies already in place. Other cities, including Bolingbrook and Maywood, recently posted messages from their mayor that highlighted immigration rights as well as resources to help immigrants know their rights. Their messages encourage community groups to support schools and students and others and to create safe environments. These ordinances and resolutions included provisions such as, and this is not inclusive, but it's the top 3 that I found, prohibiting law enforcement from stopping, searching, or arresting a person solely based on their immigration status, barring the use of city-owned property such as parking lots, parks, buildings, as staging areas for ICE activities, and preventing local officials from sharing non-public information or access to facilities with federal immigration agents unless a judicial warrant or court order was present. The reasons that were cited for these ordinances and resolutions included ensuring residents feel safe using city facilities and seeking services regardless of their immigration status, to show the communities do not support the aggressive tactics being used during immigration enforcement by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. These tactics create fear, divide communities, and make it harder for residents to feel safe when reaching out to the police for help. And to acknowledge their communities are shaped by people from many different backgrounds, languages, traditions, and their strength as a community comes from that diversity. So to not do anything at this moment in time will say something to our community. To take some action, whether adopting an ordinance or a resolution or making a public statement to support the current Trust Act measures and Know Your Rights information, will say that we stand together as a community. And that's what I hope we do. Thank you for your time, and thank you for serving our community so well. Thank you.
My name is Gina Chiapetta, and I've lived here almost 30 years, and I was not prepared to speak, but I just wanted to make one comment. I shared the same view as Jill Aducci, and so I won't repeat what she says, but I think the reason that this side isn't packed, and I don't mean like, but just the points of view, that a lot of us that feel that way just assume that ICE is legal, what they're doing is legal. You know, we just expect that our council is going to follow the law, keep us safe. That's why I don't think you're hearing a lot of voices from the other side, because we just want you to do what's legal, not like pulling on emotional heartstrings and that kind of thing. I mean, I go to church too. I go to Christ Community, that was mentioned earlier. And even in the Bible, there are rules. So we have to follow the rules. That's how we live in a safe society. So that's all I'm asking you to do. And just be aware that there's a lot of other people that feel the way that Jill does, even though we're not as vocal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Fred Tempest. I'm a resident of St. Charles, not like most folks here for 10 or 20 or 30 years, but more like 3 years. But I was moved by the words of my new fellow residents here to say a few words. I would support this ordinance as been outlined here. I think the level of cruelty and the lack of humanity that ICE has demonstrated across the country, beginning in my home state of California, really removes their right to use city property. So I encourage you to go forward with the ordinance that's been outlined here today. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Shelley Castins. I've lived in St. Charles for 17 years, and I am against passing any ordinance that prohibits ICE agents doing their jobs. I am afraid for my safety, as well as the safety of St. Charles residents, concerning undocumented illegal aliens and their presence here. And I am for letting ICE agents do their job of keeping us safe. That is my main concern, and I have loved living here in St. Charles, but I don't want to feel afraid when I go out my door, because there are people living in our city who have no documentation. I don't know where they're from. I don't know what their health records include. And I want to be proud of my city here in St. Charles. I would just like to say thank you for listening to both sides of this equation, and I know that you will follow the law.
Thank you. Thank you.
My name is Nikki Powell. I have been in St. Charles for over 20 years. And I want to start by saying Happy Thanksgiving. If you celebrated Thanksgiving, you celebrated the arrival of undocumented immigrants in our country to build a life of opportunity and freedom. And as a parent, I know each one of you would do anything for your child. I know you would. Fleeing desperate conditions in search of safety and hoping for a better life is the immigrant story. And with that, I hope you will pause long enough to understand the heart of an immigrant mother, an immigrant father, making impossible choices for their children. I don't know how many more stories you need to hear. And quite frankly, I don't think it matters if it's here in St. Charles or across the country. They are happening in St. Charles, but it really doesn't matter. What is happening in this country is appalling. It's cruel and inhumane. I'll tell you a very brief story about a woman from Guatemala brought to the United States when she was 9 years old. She renewed all of her documents, followed all the proper paperwork. She's lived in the United States. She's now 43. She's lived here 34 years. She married an American citizen, and they had 2 children. They are American citizens, all 3 of them. They decided to take a family vacation. She filled out all of her paperwork right before this vacation, being concerned what could happen. They left for Cancun, returned to the airport, and she was snagged at the airport. And her husband tried to hand her her diabetic medication that she needed, but in ICE fashion, they were aggressive and would not allow for that and dragged her away. It was 30 days before they finally heard from her. And in those 30 days, she was moved from facility to facility, rat-infested facilities, not proper food for a diabetic person. And then, when they discovered that they were wrong because they were doing all the wrong things, she had completed every requirement, they dumped her on a street with no phone and no money. She had to rely on the kindness of a stranger to use a phone to contact her family to get back home. Does that sound like an agency committed to the rule of law? They are not following the law. The rule of law is not selective. It cannot be applied only when convenient for this current administration. Yet ICE is violating the very standards they're supposed to uphold. Due process, obtaining warrants, the prohibition of racial profiling, transparency and accountability. These are the foundations of our democracy. ICE agents are detaining people without representation and acting more like state-sanctioned bullies than lawful officers. Reports of agents attacking women, clergy, and peaceful protesters show just how far these officials have strayed from justice. And for those of you who claim to be Christians, none of this reflects the values that you profess. Let's be clear. Being undocumented is not a crime. It is a civil violation. Yet, we are being misled into believing that being undocumented makes someone a criminal. And that is simply false. The federal government is conditioning our community to believe it has the right to seize people from a courthouse parking lot, a preschool, or even a mire, and hold them without due process, simply because they look illegal. Meanwhile, statistics continue to show that the overwhelming majority of crime is committed by U.S. citizens. Oh, and a high percentage of them are white male. If crime prevention were truly the priority, why are we targeting the immigrants? Recently, in public comments here, we heard that a U.S. citizen needs to follow the rule of law. That if that doesn't occur, private citizens might have to take matters into their own hands. This sounds less like civic concern and more like a threat. What will our police do then? Will the police respond when civilians take things into their own hands? So, how does the city council have any role here? What can you do? We're here to work with you to find solutions that affirm St. Charles' commitment to the rule of law and due process in the Constitution. We have concerned citizens here that would serve on a committee, if that's what you call for. When government agents operate without accountability, we are on a direct path toward authoritarianism. We can choose to align with that, or we can choose not to. You were elected to sit on the St. Charles City Council. You swore an oath to uphold the U.S. and Illinois constitutions and to faithfully perform the duties of your office to the best of your ability. Across the country, federal courts are ruling again and again and again that ICE's actions violate constitutional rights. The question now is, are you willing to be on the moral and just side of history? Do you have the courage to protect the people who live here? You need to be proactive. You need to make a statement. And I keep hearing it's not going to do anything to have a resolution. Then what's the harm? Do it. If not, the message is going to be clear. St. Charles leadership chose silence over protection, fear over courage, and apathy over responsibility. While every surrounding community took action, you will own that decision, and the public will know it, and this will be your legacy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other public comment? Okay, at this point in time, we next move to the next agenda item, number 10, additional items from mayor, council, or staff. I'm going to ask Chief Likens to come up. At the November 17th city council meeting during public comment, there was information about the alleged actions of the St. Charles Police Department, and in particular, the treatment of a resident by a St. Charles police officer during an encounter that took place in the parking lot at the St. Charles Police Department. The information is presented in public comment caused me, as well as several city council members, great concern. As a result, we asked our city administrator, Heather McGuire, to work with Chief Likens to provide more information to the council about that interaction. So, Chief Likens, I appreciate you being here tonight. I now want to turn it over to you to provide the council with the information that we asked you to look into based upon the public comments.
Thank you, Mayor Hall and members of City Council. The St. Charles Police Department remains steadfast in our commitment to this community and serving our community with integrity, transparency, and respect for all. These values define our organization and guide the manner in which we fulfill our law enforcement responsibilities. We recognize the trust our community places in us, and we will work diligently each day to ensure that the St. Charles community remains a safe and welcoming city for all, regardless of immigration status. Our commitment to public safety is and will always remain our highest priority. Every action taken by our officers is rooted in our obligation to safeguard the well-being of our residents, our businesses, our visitors. This foundational commitment establishes our policies, our training, and our daily operations. We take great pride in being a very professional police organization. The department is dedicated to a community-oriented policing model, emphasizes collaboration, accessibility, proactive engagement with our residents. Our officers work closely with residents every day, business owners, educational institutions, faith institutions, community groups, organizations to ensure that all individuals feel safe, supported, and heard. Our officers regularly participate in civic events, charitable initiatives, Special Olympics activities, and on. We encourage our community to contact the police department through 911 to ensure timely and consistent response. This is for all people, again, regardless of immigration status. Our role in the immigration enforcement world, we don't have one. It's important to reiterate that the St. Charles Police Department does not participate in immigration enforcement activities. That authority rests exclusively with federal agencies. We are bound by the Trust Act and the provisions of that Trust Act signed in 2017 that clearly establishes the limits of local law enforcement involvement in immigration matters, and we remain fully compliant with its requirements. To clarify, the department does not receive any advance notice of any federal immigration operations within our community. Our officers respond to 911 calls from our residents for immigration matters. Our focus is on protecting all individuals within our jurisdiction and providing impartial service, again, regardless of immigration status. Our commitment and transparency to the community. I have personally reached out to try to create some dialogue with the Elgin Rapid Response Group. I have not heard back from that organization. However, I stand up here tonight encouraging any community group to contact us, to work with us, to have open, honest dialogue regarding how we can best support the needs of our diverse community. But to the mayor's point, clarifying some recent public comments. On the November 17th council meeting, concerns were raised regarding police actions, specifically with the St. Charles Police Department cooperating with ICE agents. In the interest of transparency, I want to address and clarify some of those comments.
Can I ask you just to slow down a little?
Sure. I talk fast. At no time did the St. Charles police officer assist ICE agents in immigration enforcement activities. We had an officer involved who responded to multiple 911 calls on that date regarding an erratic driver and explicitly stated to that individual upon contact that they were not being detained, that they were free to leave. At no time were ICE agents permitted into our facility, and at no time did ICE agents bring a member in custody into our facility. We appreciate the opportunity to address these concerns that were raised by our community members, but we also feel that we need to clarify that we do not participate. We responded to calls for service. In closing, our mission remains unchanged. We will protect, we will support, and we will serve our community with honor and professionalism that the St. Charles Police Department upholds. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Chief.
Well, thank you, Chief.
Does anyone on council have any questions for Chief Likens?
Nope.
Okay. And again, I just want, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. Time for public comment has passed, and so. Thank you very much, and we'll have public comment at every city council meeting, so if you'd like to come back at that next time, we'd be happy to have you. Just as it relates to Chief Likens, thank you very much for looking into the matter. Again, I know that all of us up here were concerned about what we had heard and about the alleged actions taken by the St. Charles police officer. Again, you looked at the body camera footage, you invited all of us to look at that body camera footage, and I appreciate the steps that you took to address the concerns that we had as a council. So thank you. All right, next up on the agenda is asking if there are any other items or comments that wish to be made by city council members. Councilmember Warble?
Just a question for Public Works. With all the snow and the leaves covered underneath the snow, will they come and pick up the leaves even if it's end of December, January? Is there a limitation on that?
We are currently working with our vendor on scheduling that. Obviously, with the snow continuing to fall, it's a little bit difficult, but we are working to get a public statement out in the next couple of days as well to let the public know how to handle that.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay. Councilmember Munn.
Thank you, Mayor. So I have two items. One is in keeping with what Alderperson Warble brought up somewhat. It's just a friendly reminder to residents and to businesses to make sure you're clearing your sidewalks of snow. There are some portions of the city where that is required and others it is not, but we do have a lot of people in our community who rely on clear and safe passage and are unable to drive. So when we block sidewalks, our residents who need access for wheelchairs, strollers, foot traffic, they're unable to access essential services like doctor's appointments, grocery stores, pharmacies, and amenities that we take for granted via our vehicles. So please, I'm just asking for people to be good neighbors and clear your sidewalks. On the topics that we were talking about this evening, I want to address everyone who came up and spoke both tonight and 2 weeks ago on Monday. I feel that we want to have everyone in St. Charles feel safe. And I want you to know that your stories on either side of this issue are impactful to us. We take seriously the responsibility of upholding the rule of law. And we realize that this specific topic is viewed through different lenses within our community. I am in favor of the city being proactive in developing a website or web-based resources that have statements that both support the professionals who are upholding the law in our law enforcement community, as well as our community members, with the understanding that we can do both, and we should be fostering relationships between our police and our residents. We see other cities that are passing ordinances, and that is not accomplishing the goal of supporting and caring for our community members. It creates a false sense of security for our residents and places officers in further danger. I would like to explore some community conversations and things that would move us toward collaborative discussions and real solutions with our community.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Bonker?
I think that Jamie hit on a couple of those points. Chief, is there an opportunity, you don't have to get up, is there an opportunity, follow up for some of the questions and things that were posed on the 17th, regarding what type of engagement, third parties, who's reached out to the police department, what are the conversations that are being had? Because we obviously get a lot of information and communication being passed along to us. Is there a way where we're not all bombarding, your office looking for all these one-off updates where we can feel like we're all hearing the same information about what organizations are reaching out, who's offering help, who's offering to have and host some of these conversations, like being mindful of where this topic is at, where we're going, and people feeling like they want to continue to have this conversation. What's the best way to facilitate some of those conversations?
I think the short answer, unfortunately, is we haven't had any good collaboration. I've tried to proactively reach out to some of the groups that I can find online or some of the underground network, but I think it's a great idea. So again, as I said, open to talking to anybody at this point about what our role is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So nobody's reaching out to
No,
St.
sir.
Charles Police Department saying, hey, we'd love to come together and troubleshoot and talk and work, and that we
No,
got
sir.
nothing.
No.
Okay, so Ma'am, so this is always so hard for us up here because part of it is we want to have conversation, but we can't because then it'll go. So I appreciate the comment, and I when Chief Likens says he's there and willing for conversations, even as we end tonight, if we have other meetings, but I know that Chief Likens would be happy to meet with you in the hallway to take down names to meet. I mean, what we have is we have a chief who is open to these conversations and wants to have those conversations. So I know when you say you're here, you are, and so what we can do is at the end of this meeting, I'm sure the Chief Likens would be happy to go outside and take down that information and make that happen. Thank you. Councilman Foltz.
Yeah, I think these last two meetings have really shown the concerns that both sides have and how both sides' concerns are very real and very genuine. And I hope that both sides can kind of see the feelings from each side. Taking feelings out, I really appreciate what Alderperson Munns had to say tonight about coming up with a logical approach to this, where we can make all of our residents feel safe no matter who they are, no matter where they are. I think, and I'm just speaking for myself, I think that is our main job up here, to make sure all of our residents feel supported, to make sure all of our residents do feel safe, and I think we have a job to do to make sure we come out with something, whether it be a website, whether it be a statement, whatever it might be, that is a collaboration between a number of different groups that best represents our city and what a great city it is and how we can continue to support these community members. But getting up here and doing that the last 2 weeks takes a lot of bravery. And that is something from a teacher's point of view I very much appreciate, because I know how hard public speaking can be for people, and I know from both sides how hard it can be to make those comments, and it's great to hear from both sides. So for all those who did speak, share their stories, share their comments, thank you.
Anything else? Okay, a couple things on my end. First, Public Works. Peter, on behalf of our entire community, a huge snowfall. First snowfall as the mayor. I was out driving around. I was worried about it. We didn't get the parade in, but the streets were cleared, and your crew did a fantastic job, and I know they were on call. So just if you could please pass along our thanks to everybody that was out there. So thank you. Next up, I have been told by some past mayors that the electric light parade is what recharges the mayor's batteries and gets you through April or May. So I was really, really looking forward to that electric light parade. So we were all saddened to have to cancel it. Staff, along with the Business Alliance, were in constant communications as we got that snowfall. We had to ask ourselves 3 questions. One was, can parade participants and spectators make it to the parade safely? Second, can we run the parade without endangering anybody? And 3, can everybody get home safe? And so police, fire, and public works all had the same answer, and that answer was no, based upon the reports. Safety first, but a big thanks to the Business Alliance and all the businesses and all the participants who put together floats. We were really, really sorry that we couldn't have that, but I know that next year will be bigger and better, and I'm counting on it getting me through August. Next up, I would like to end by just addressing, as some of our council has, about the ICE activities and the comments that have been made. So first, I want to reiterate what's already been said, which is to thank everybody who's spoken today. I agree with Alderman Folks. It takes a great deal of bravery to stand up and to talk and to share your feelings. So I thank you for that. Over the past month or two, we are aware of verified ICE activities in the St. Charles community. So they're here. We know that. And at one point in time, we didn't, and now we do. And that's as a result of our citizens being active and engaged, and so we know that. Now, both before November 17th and after, myself, along with city staff and the city council, have received letters, emails, texts, phone calls. We've had requests for face-to-face meetings with residents who want to explain their position to us. And so We've done that, and we've heard that, and those emails and those texts and those letters, and they all come, and they're all read. I mean, what I want to make sure everybody understands is if they don't go to the trash box, they don't go, we get them, and we read them, and in many times our council responds to them. So I want you to know that. Now, on November 17th, at our last council meeting, we heard from several of our residents and business owners who spoke from the heart about the feelings regarding ICE activities. And many of these speakers requested us and continue to request us to take action and to pass an ordinance prohibiting ICE from using city property during their operations. We've also heard from several members of our community who oppose an ordinance and advocate the city police aid ICE when they are in St. Charles. Pass an ordinance, don't pass an ordinance, two opinions, diametrically opposed, both groups so passionate about their respective positions. The fact that our residents have different points of view on this isn't surprising. Since becoming mayor 7 months ago, we have had residents come before us and to speak on issues involving IMEA and the respective positions on our energy policies. We've had people come before us to talk about the demolition permit on the Judge Berry house. We've had people here that have talked about the redevelopment of our old police station site and many other issues. And in every case, on those, we have people on both sides of the issue who get up and who talk. And this one is no different. There are people who are passionate about both sides. I speak on behalf of myself and the entire city council when I say that we are thankful for everyone that reaches out to us. We truly are. It's our job to listen and to listen and then to listen again. It's our job to hear from the community, and by you reaching out to us, you have us do our jobs, and I know that we appreciate that. Now, as the mayor, I want to tell you that our council, our staff, and our police department has and continues to be in contact with everyone, and we as a collective group have been talking about this, have been emailing about this, and continue to discuss it. And we ourselves have different opinions and different thoughts. But that's exactly what the city council is supposed to do. I just want to say, as a mayor, that I am extremely thankful for my 10 council members. We are so blessed to live in a community where we have 10 council members that dig in and aren't afraid to have tough conversations with the public, are not afraid to have tough conversations with one another. And ultimately, you know, as a mayor, that makes me extremely proud. And I think regardless whether you've been in St. Charles one day or your entire life, it should make you extremely proud as well. Now, before being elected the mayor, I would serve 30 years in our court system, first as a prosecutor and then as a judge. And so why do I share that tonight? How does it relate to the issue that's before the city council? Well, as a prosecutor for 15 years, I advocated on behalf of victims of violent crime. I sat in a courtroom, I put on trials, and I asked judges and juries to do what was just and what was right, and that was to find the people who had been charged guilty of the crimes that they had committed. I was passionate about that job. Then as a judge for 15 years, I sat in a courtroom and I listened as two sides passionately argued opposite sides of the law. Two diametrically opposed views. I spent most of my career in a criminal courtroom, and it was amazing to sit in a courtroom and to watch and to see parties passionately and vehemently disagree on the facts of the case and on what a just outcome was. But the point was is that both sides were passionate about those positions and put their trust in the court. What I learned from that experience and what I take from that experience into this experience is that what I understand, and as a judge, I had to make a lot of different decisions. And as a council, you're asking us to make and take certain actions. But what I understood is that no matter what the action was, no matter what my verdict was as a judge, that someone was going to walk away disappointed and angry and frustrated and in disbelief that I as a judge could rule the way that I did. And I understood that. And we understand the feelings that people have about the action you're asking us to take. We understand that if we don't take action, the people are going to be angry and upset and in disbelief, the same way that I was as an advocate, as an attorney. And we get that. When I was trying to put this together tonight, what I wanted to make sure that I made everybody understood, and I don't think I can, but it's hard to do this job. It's hard. It's hard to understand that we're going to upset people. It just is. It's part of the job. It's what you take on when you run for election. You understand that. But making people upset because you make a certain decision or don't make a certain decision is hard. But everybody on this dais accepted that responsibility. But what I do want to emphasize to all parties is that just because at this point we haven't passed an ordinance doesn't mean that you haven't been heard. You have been heard. I want to emphasize that just because we haven't passed an ordinance doesn't mean we don't understand your positions. We do understand your positions. Just because we haven't passed an ordinance doesn't mean we don't care. We do care. What we as a council have been trying to figure out is what is it that we can do. And there were suggestions made tonight about websites. There were suggestions made about meetings. You know, we are open to that. And so what we have to do is we have to find this path forward. Because regardless of the issue that's before the city tonight, we are always a city. We are going to continue to be a city. There are going to be issues that we have to discuss. And what we don't want is for us to shut down because we didn't agree on a particular decision. So my ask is this. I'd ask everyone on both sides of these issues to lead with respect, to continue to strive to work together where and when we can, and to understand that every person who shares their opinions deserves to be heard and to be treated with respect. I recently watched 60 Minutes. It's something my mom and dad did a long time ago. It still's there. But they were interviewing the governor of Utah. His name is Spencer Cox. And he was highlighted on 60 Minutes because of his approach to bipartisanship. And he said, it doesn't matter whether it does matter that I'm a Republican and others are Democrats, but we have to learn to work with one another. And so when I was thinking about tonight and how I wanted to leave this tonight, I wanted to share some of the words that he shared. He said, disagreeing better isn't just about being nice to one another. It's about finding a way to disagree that moves us towards solutions rather than deepening divides. I've heard that tonight. Then he said, it is relearning how to disagree the right way, how to have a debate, how to stay true to your principles, your core values, without demeaning and tearing apart the other side. And in doing so, actually finding out where there is common ground, where we can meet each other to solve problems. I think that his words are something that I took to heart. I've heard that up here tonight. And as we move forward, I know that I can speak on behalf of the entire council when I say that that's what we need to do as a community. So with that, are there any other items for city council? Okay, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, there's a motion. I'm sorry, who motioned? All right, Besner, second Gem. Roll call, please.
Conrad?
Yes.
Munn?
Yes.
Gem?
Yes.
Petrilla?
Okay, if everybody could just wait until we're adjourned, please. We're voting.
Wirball?
Yes.
Besner?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Kulkaitis?
Yes.
Wolf?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. We now have another meeting to